Hey, welcome to this week's Client Attraction Clinic. This is the place where we challenge conventional thinking, cut through all the noise, and have real conversations about business, money, marketing, and what it actually takes to build a business with impact. So if you're tired of surface level advice, recycled talking points, and the same worn out scripts everybody else is repeating, then you're in the right place. My goal here is very simple to help you think more clearly, make better decisions, and see opportunities other people are missing so that you can begin to attract clients instead of chasing them down. So, whether you're here to grow your business, strengthen your financial future, or just start asking better questions, I'm glad you're here. With that, let's get into it. Today, we're going to talk about why your listing process matters more than your personality. Now, that might sound a little harsh because personality does matter. Don't get me wrong. People want to work with people they like. They want to feel comfortable. They want to feel that they can trust you. But here's the problem. Too many agents are trying to win listings with personality, charm, enthusiasm, and relationship alone. And in today's market, that's simply not enough. Your personality may get you liked. Your process is what gets you hired. You see, that's the distinction. A seller's making a major financial decision, and they may have hundreds of thousands of dollars in equity on the line. They may be trying to buy another home. They might be retiring, relocating, downsizing, divorcing, or handling an inherited property. You see, this isn't a casual decision. So when you sit down with a seller, the real question is not, do they like me? The real question is, do they believe I have the best process to help them reach their goal? You see, that's what your listing appointment has to accomplish. So let's talk about the seller's options. First, a seller can hire a traditional agent. They can hire a mega team. They can hire a discount broker. They can sell it on their own. They can get a cash offer. They can use a relative or a friend who's licensed. They can interview 3 agents and choose the cheapest one. So the question becomes pretty obvious. Why should they hire you? That's the most important question you have to answer. Not why should they hire an agent, but why should they hire you? You see, if your answer is mostly about, well, you being nice, you're experienced, or you're hardworking, or you're local, that's probably not enough to separate you. You need a process. You see, a process gives the seller something to understand. It gives them something to compare, gives them confidence. It makes your value feel real. And it moves the conversation away from, do I like this agent, and toward, do I believe their process gives me the best chance of getting the result I want? See, that's powerful. A listing process also helps you compete against other agents with more experience, bigger teams, or bigger marketing budgets, right? If you're a newer agent, process is especially important. You may not have 20 years of experience or hundreds of sold signs, but you can still walk into a listing appointment with a clear, documented, seller-focused process. And that process gives you confidence. And believe me, confidence matters. It also helps sellers feel you're not winging it. Now, what should a listing process actually solve? Well, it should solve pricing uncertainty. It should solve marketing exposure. It should solve buyer competition, solve showing chaos, and it should solve negotiation leverage, communication, timing, and most importantly, their net proceeds. And it should reduce the hassles and headaches sellers are really worried about. But here's the key. Don't present that as a boring checklist. Present it as a story. Let me give you an example. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, the reason we use a defined process is because selling a home isn't just about putting it on the MLS and hoping the right buyer shows up. Our job is to position the property correctly, create as much qualified buyer interest as possible, control the timeline, give you negotiating leverage, and help you make the best decision with the strongest information. You see, that's a process. And now the seller can see that you think differently. You see, most agents talk about the marketing. A process-driven agent talks about strategy. Most agents say they'll get exposure. A process-driven agent explains how exposure turns into competition. See, most agents say they'll negotiate for the seller. A process-driven agent explains how the entire launch plan is designed to put the seller in a stronger negotiating position before the first offer is ever written. That's different, and different matters. Now, let's talk about proof. A process without proof is still just a promise. So your goal over time is to begin to document everything. Document your open house traffic, your online activity, your offers, your timelines, your seller testimonials, your before and after results. Document the marketing you used and the activity that it created. Because when you can show proof, the seller's confidence goes way up. They don't have to simply believe you because you're persuasive. They can believe you because you have evidence. See, that's why proof over promises is such an important standard. You see, if you tell a seller your marketing creates more activity, show them. If you're telling a seller your process creates more competition, show them. If you tell a seller you can reduce hassles, show them the steps. If you're telling a seller you can help protect their equity, show them how. Now, let me give you a simple framework for your listing process. First, clarify the seller's goals. Before you talk about yourself, understand what they actually want. Price, timing, certainty, convenience, privacy, flexibility, net proceeds, and stress all matters differently to different sellers. Second, explain the market. Sellers need context. They need to understand supply and demand, comparable sales, buyer behavior, pricing pressure, and what's happening in the market right now. Third, explain your positioning strategy. How will the home be presented? What makes it attractive? What needs to be improved? What story are you telling the market? Fourth, explain your launch process. How are you going to create attention, activity, and buyer interest? Fifth, explain your negotiating strategy. How do you create leverage? How do you evaluate offers? How do you protect the seller from weak terms? Sixth, explain communication and next steps. Sellers want to know what happens, when it happens, and how they'll be updated. Folks, that's not complicated, but it's much stronger than showing up and saying, I'm great. My company's great. Here's a CMA and here's my commission. A process makes you more professional. It makes the seller more confident, and it makes your value easier to understand. So here's your action step for the week. Write down your current listing process from the first conversation to closing. Don't write what you think it should be. Write what actually happens. Then look for the gaps. Where is the process unclear? Where are you relying too much on personality? Where do you lack proof? Where do you need better seller communication? Where do you need a stronger presentation? Because if your process isn't clear to you, it definitely won't be clear to the sellers. And if your process isn't clear to the seller, your value won't be clear either. Now, if you want to take this deeper, I've written another book that listeners can download for free. The title of the book is Your Real Estate Doesn't Need More Tools, It Needs a Boss. Download it, and you'll see how experienced agents can build a daily operating system around seller leads, content, follow-up, appointments, reviews, referrals, and closings. So you can grab it now at www.theaibossblueprint.com. That's www.theaibossblueprint.com. And after you download it, go ahead and schedule a private business review right from the homepage. So get out there and build your real estate machine this week, and I'll talk to you next week.